This morning, in what U.S. officials call a highly provocative move, the Pentagon says 2 Venezuela military planes flew near a U.S. Navy ship.
2 Venezuelan fighter jets roared low over the Caribbean, slicing dangerously close to a U.S. Navy destroyer. Not once, but twice, in less than 48 hours. For Washington, this wasn't random. It was deliberate, a test, a challenge. And the timing? Right after the U.S. quietly reinforced its presence with stealth fighters in Puerto Rico. The question now, how close are we to the Caribbean becoming the next flashpoint? Rising tension, setting the scene. The U.S. destroyer at the center of this standoff was the USS Jason Dunham, an Arleigh Burke-class warship designed to dominate in almost any environment. These ships aren't just floating platforms, they're armed fortresses. They can shoot down enemy aircraft, track submarines, intercept missiles, and even strike land targets hundreds of miles away. On this mission, the Jason Dunham was operating in international waters, fully within its legal rights, when suddenly 2 Venezuelan jets cut across the sky and closed in. For Washington, this wasn't some random flight path. It was intentional. The Pentagon quickly labeled the maneuver highly provocative. Some military analysts went further, comparing it to a high-speed game of chicken in the open sea. Because here's the danger. When warplanes dart this close to a destroyer bristling with sensors and weapons, one wrong move, or one nervous trigger finger, can spark a crisis that neither side truly wants. And yet, the very fact that it happened again, so soon after the first flyover, sends a chilling message. This isn't just about a single warship. It's about testing limits, pushing boundaries, and seeing just how far the United States is willing to go before pushing back. The timing. Why now? What makes this second flyover so explosive isn't just the maneuver itself, it's when it happened. Just one day earlier, Washington had officially confirmed the deployment of F-35 stealth fighters to Puerto Rico. These aren't ordinary jets. They represent the cutting edge of American air power, able to see without being seen, and they create an instant shield over the Caribbean. So as the US quietly expanded its reach in the skies, Venezuela answered back, loudly. Low passes over a US destroyer sent a message. Caracas wasn't backing down. It was defiance made visible, written across the air in roaring jet engines. But here's where the stakes rise even higher. President Trump responded almost immediately, and his words left no room for interpretation. If Venezuelan pilots threaten American ships or crews again, they won't just be intercepted, they'll be shot down. No second chances, no drawn-out warnings, just immediate, decisive action. And in waters this tense, where every move is under a microscope, that shift in tone means one misstep could push a symbolic standoff into something far more dangerous, breaking down Venezuela's jets. So, what's in Venezuela's air arsenal? At the forefront are F-16 fighters, vintage warplanes bought back in the early 1980s. Back then, these jets were the pride of the fleet, fast, nimble, and lethal in dogfights at close range. Fast forward 40 years, and the story has changed. Spare parts are nearly impossible to get. Maintenance is a constant headache. And analysts say only about a dozen of these aircraft are actually flight ready. When it comes to weapons, these F-16 carry mostly short-range air-to-air missiles, like Sidewinders or Israeli Python missiles. For ground targets, pilots rely on old-school bombs and unguided rockets, which means they have to get dangerously close to be effective. In an era of long-range precision-guided munitions, that's a serious handicap. Add in Venezuela's small fleet of Russian-built Su-30 fighters. Larger, more capable planes, but plagued by upkeep issues, and the picture becomes clear. These jets make for a bold show of force, but in a direct matchup with modern American aircraft, Venezuela is outgunned, outmatched, and at a serious technological disadvantage. The US response, air power. Now, let's look at the American side. Washington didn't just deploy ordinary fighters to Puerto Rico, they sent in F-35 Lightning II jets. These aren't just airplanes. Think of them as airborne command centers. Stealthy, fast, and packed with sensors, F-35s can disappear from radar, share real-time data with ships, satellites, and ground troops, and strike targets before anyone even knows they're there. Stationing them in Puerto Rico effectively blankets the Eastern Caribbean in a cutting-edge air shield. From that vantage point, these jets can monitor every inch of the sky, respond instantly to threats, and make anyone thinking about provocations think twice. In short, this isn't just a show of force. It's a clear statement. The US is watching, ready, and fully capable of controlling the airspace. The US response, air power. Now, let's look at the American side. Washington didn't just deploy ordinary fighters to Puerto Rico, they sent in F-35 Lightning II jets. These aren't just airplanes. Think of them as airborne command centers. Stealthy, fast, and packed with sensors, F-35s can disappear from radar, share real-time data with ships, satellites, and ground troops, and strike targets before anyone even knows they're there. Stationing them in Puerto Rico effectively blankets the Eastern Caribbean in a cutting-edge air shield. From that vantage point, these jets can monitor every inch of the sky, respond instantly to threats, and make anyone thinking about provocations think twice. In short, this isn't just a show of force. It's a clear statement. The US is watching, ready, and fully capable of controlling the airspace. The U.S. response: naval power. But the air umbrella is only half the story. The U.S. Navy has quietly built up one of its strongest Caribbean presences in years. Multiple destroyers: Jason Dunham, Gravely, Samson, all Arleigh Burke class, each carrying over 90 vertical launch missiles capable of shooting down aircraft, sinking ships, or striking targets deep inland. The cruiser Lake Erie, designed for fleet air defense, bringing even more missile firepower. And lurking beneath the surface, at least one nuclear-powered submarine. The Pentagon won't say exactly where it is, but that uncertainty is the point. It could launch cruise missiles from anywhere, at any time. And then, the most visible symbol: the amphibious assault ship Iwo Jima. To the untrained eye, it looks like a small aircraft carrier, and in many ways, it is. Packed with helicopters, tilt-rotor Ospreys, and Marines, it serves as a floating base of operations. Sailing with it are transport ships like San Antonio and Fort Lauderdale, carrying Marines, landing craft, and armored vehicles. Together, this is the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, thousands of Marines who can launch raids, secure territory, or deliver humanitarian aid, all at a moment's notice. Why this matters: escalation risks. Let's take a step back and look at the balance of power. Venezuela. A handful of aging F-16, a few Russian Su-30, and a navy that's more symbolic than formidable. The U.S., the stealth F-35s, advanced destroyers, a nuclear-powered submarine, thousands of Marines, and multi-layered defenses covering sea and sky. On paper, the advantage is clear, and it heavily favors Washington. But here's the catch: this isn't just about numbers or firepower. The real risk is miscalculation. The Caribbean isn't an open ocean. It's a confined, high-stakes environment. One Venezuelan jet getting too close, one U.S. missile fired, and what started as a show of force could spiral into a serious confrontation almost instantly. Every maneuver is being watched. Every decision could tip the scale. And that's why this standoff matters far beyond a single flyover. Rumors of more reinforcements, and the story doesn't end there. Analysts warn that Washington could escalate its presence even further. Another amphibious assault ship might sail into the Caribbean, bringing more Marines and aircraft. A full carrier strike group, complete with a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, could join the fleet. Additional F-35s or even F-22 Raptors could be flown in from mainland bases to Puerto Rico or Florida. Even the whispers of these potential deployments send a clear signal. The Pentagon is treating this standoff with the utmost seriousness. Every move is being calculated, every option considered, and every response measured. The message is unmistakable. The U.S. is ready to escalate if necessary, and it's not bluffing. Venezuela's options. On Venezuela's side, the Su-30s are technically the crown jewels, bigger, heavier, and capable of striking from farther away than the F-16s. But there's a catch. Like the older jets, they're plagued by maintenance problems and low readiness. In practice, that limits how much Caracas can rely on them in a real confrontation. So instead, Venezuela turns to what's visible, immediate, and dramatic: low-level flyovers. They grab headlines, signal defiance, and project strength, but each stunt carries real risk. One misstep, and a symbolic show of force could turn deadly in seconds. The stakes: Trump's red line. President Trump has made one thing crystal clear: the line has been drawn. If another Venezuelan jet gets too close to a U.S. warship, this isn't just a warning anymore. It could trigger an immediate shootdown. And in a confined space like the Caribbean, once the first missile is fired, the pace of escalation could be lightning fast. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and what started as a show of force could explode into a full-blown confrontation. The message: high stakes, no hesitation, and eyes on every move. Big picture. At its core, this isn't about two fighter jets buzzing a warship. It's about signaling. It's about who controls the Caribbean. It's about deterrence, reputation, and balance of power. For now, both militaries are shadowing each other, measuring every move, waiting to see who blinks first. But one thing is certain: the next flyover could decide whether this remains a game of posturing or becomes something far more dangerous. So, what do you think? Is Venezuela pushing too far? Or is the U.S. flexing muscle unnecessarily? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned, because this story is far from over.